throughout this whole process, please let us know and get in touch with us. Okay, so for this webinar, we are going to be looking at Google Classroom, and this is our agenda for today. It looks like a lot, but it's not as much as it seems. In the green part, we're just going to go over the basics, just an overview of what it is, how to access it. I'll show you what it looks like for the teacher and for the student. And then we are going to actually start a class, and I'll show you how to get your students into the class, and I'll show you some settings that you can adjust. We will learn how to invite a co-teacher if that applies to you, and also inviting students and guardians. I'll show you how to send a message to your students and create topics to keep your class organized. And then we'll spend most of the time in that blue section where we will actually create an assignment, and you can see what it looks like as a teacher. I'll go in and do it as a student so you can see what it looks like to them, and then we'll go back to the teacher and see the work that they did and grade it. At the end, I will archive and delete classes and show you how to do that. So before we get started, are there any questions that I need to know about at all before we do this?
I think there's just a couple of questions about this being a repeat and the intermediate session.
Great question. So yes, this is a repeat. If you've already been in Google Classroom Basics, this will be the same one you've already been in. The same is true for tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We will have an intermediate Google Classroom at 2 o'clock tomorrow, and that will go into a lot more detail, the different types of assignments that you can do. You can have rubrics, canned comments when you grade, forms, all kinds of things that we're not talking about today. I assume we will have some more of these intermediate ones when we come back after spring break on the 6th. But if you've already been in this basic Google Classroom webinar, you have seen what I'm going to be doing right now.
Maria, go on that link I sent you, because that's the one we're supposed to take, Dijo Chavez, and it's a limited for people. It's up to 250 people. Yeah, van 221.
Yeah, we have 221. Could we please mute microphones? Remember to mute yourself. Make sure your microphone is red. I will try to go in and figure out who I need to mute. I think we're good now. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So first of all, let me
send them.
I got to try to mute. Sorry about that. This is a very full classroom.
Okay, then I just send it because Dijo Chavez that it's only supposed to be 250 people. Yeah, van 222.
Okay, I don't think that worked.
Email. Yes, the DPS. Okay.
Erin, if you can help me out.
Bye.
Hi, if you are on this webinar and you don't have your microphone muted, could you please mute for us? Just so we don't have all the sounds and we can get going on this webinar. All right, so again, what is Google Classroom? So Google Classroom is your digital classroom. It is the place where you give students announcements and you assign things to them. They can get these assignments and take them and turn them into you. It's just a way to communicate and get work done in school. So it's literally a digital classroom. To access it, you go to classroom.google.com. And once you get in there, it will not look like this the first time you get in. I have several classes that I'm involved with here, and that's what each class looks like. And when you want to create one, you just go to this plus sign. So I'm going to create a class here, and I'm going to hit create. I will name this sample class. And this is all optional. It doesn't really apply to us at this point, so I'm going to leave it blank, and I'll hit create. Okay, so once you've created the sample class, it will give you some kind of a bright colored theme. You can go over here to select theme and change that if you'd like. I think I'll just keep it like it is because it's pretty different from the other ones I have. All right, and when you get in, you can see that there are tools across the top, or these tabs. The first one is the stream, and this is the first thing that you see and students see when they log in. So any communication that you have for your students will be here. You can share something with your class. It can be just, you know, a quick message. It could be what you're going to be doing all that day, whatever you want it to be, and you'll post it and your students will see it. And I will demonstrate that a little bit more in a little bit more detail as we get going on this. The next tab is the classwork tab, and this is where all of the classwork happens. So when we create a classroom, I'm going to show you how to organize this and assign things there for your student. The people tab will show the teachers and the students that are in the room. Right now, we don't have any students, so this is blank, and I'm the only teacher in the room. And if I wanted to add a teacher, I could just invite a teacher here. I would click this button, type in the teacher's dpsk12.net email address, and invite them here. And I'll go over a little bit more what you can do with this in a little bit. And then this final one is grades. And in this classroom, it's brand new, so there's nothing here. So what I want to do is go over to another classroom that I've had created for a while and show you the difference. So I'm going to go back to my main classes here. And this is the other one. This is just a little sample classroom that I've created that some of my fellow coaches and I play with for experiments. And you can see here in the stream, I've got lots of announcements that I've made. Anytime I've ever made an assignment, it shows up here. It just keeps your students up to date on what's going on at a first glance. Okay, in the next tab, classwork, the first thing I want you to notice is topics. You create these topics to keep everything organized. If you don't do this, then you're just going to have a jumble of assignments all over the place and it'll be hard to find anything. But if we organize our classroom by topics, you can do it by week if you want to, you know, week 1 assignments, or you could even do it by day, Monday assignments, Tuesday assignments, however works best for you, but just make sure you utilize those. And I'll show you how to do that soon. So these are assignments here, and you can see they're organized by the topics. The people here in the class, you can see it looks a little different now. I'm still here as the only teacher, but my students are showing up here. In the student tab, it's nice because you can go in and you can select certain students that you want to email, or if you need to remove them for some reason, you can do that here. If you need to mute the students because you don't want them to comment in the class, you can do that here as well. If you want to invite some guardians to your class, you can do that here. You would just click on invite guardians, type in their email address, and invite them. Now, when you invite a guardian to a Google Classroom, they are not in the classroom as a student. What they get is just a weekly summary of what's going on in your class. The parents will get the assignments that you've given out, and they will get a record of those that the student has created, or I'm sorry, completed, or any missing assignments. It'll just give them an overview of what's happening in the class. So that's the student tab right now. And then the last one I wanted to show you is grades. Each time you create a new assignment, it creates a new column for that assignment. You can see here I have a whole lot of missing things here. Again, this is just something that my coaches and I play with, and so they haven't turned a lot of it in. But it's nice because you can grade things right here. And I had a question come up earlier. Can you override missing, like if somebody submits something a different way? Yes, you can. You can override a missing assignment. Okay, so before I move on, I want to stop for questions. Is there anything we need to address? Doing okay, Erin?
Yeah, there's just, somebody pointed out that there's a lot of people who are support staff who have access to like 600 different students. And maybe if you could keep that in mind as you're making recommendations, that would be great.
So teachers that have a lot of students, is that what you were saying? Sorry, it was kind of fuzzing out on me a little bit.
Yeah, just people who support special education and maybe co-teach for hundreds of students. They're just making sure that we're keeping that in mind as we are making recommendations.
Okay. Yeah. So I was a tech teacher myself, and I did that in elementary school for a while. And there was one time when I had over 600 kids. And I still did use Google Classroom. I just had a whole lot of classrooms. So, and that's fine. You can have unlimited. I just, if I go back in here to classes, for each group of kids that you see, you can have a separate Google Classroom. Now, if it's easier, you can also co-teach. As I was showing you before, let me go back into this one. If you go into the People tab, and if you want to co-teach using the same Google Classroom, you can do that. You can have multiple teachers in one Google Classroom. So I think that addresses the question. Is there anything I'm missing, Erin?
Does that make more sense? Maybe if you're an intervention teacher to get on as a co-teacher on a Google Classroom that's already created for like a homeroom teacher?
Yes, I would say that would be a great use of the co-teacher function in this, is if you're, an intervention teacher for sure.
Okay, rather than create your own Google Classroom, just get on as their co-teacher.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that would be a great idea.
Okay, thanks.
What about service providers that are following an IEP and have privacy issues? Can they be co-teachers, or do their students need to be on a separate classroom?
That is a really, really good question. Erin, do you know that right off, or do we need to research it?
I missed the question. I'm sorry.
Would you mind asking that again?
Sure. If you are a service provider that is following an IEP, can you go into your room teacher's classroom and co-teach to make assignments, or do they need to be within like a speech and language folder?
Yeah,
Or
so
class?
you can be a co-teacher. The only downside to being a co-teacher is you get a copy of every single assignment from every single student into your Google Drive. So it can overwhelm your shared with me, and you might have to turn off your notifications. But if you are in that co-teacher, you can differentiate an assignment to a single student really, really easily. And it might be more discreet than having like a separate class set up.
Yeah, and
What
I'll be
about
showing you how to do that.
What about privacy issues for children who are on IEPs?
So if you differentiated that assignment, nobody would know it was differentiated necessarily, right? The student would just see different work, but it's not obvious to anybody. Like if I used to teach newcomers, and if I was pushing out an easier assignment, they weren't aware of that unless they were actually comparing the work. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Good to know.
Yeah, and
Thanks.
I'll be showing you how to do that. I'm just about to create a whole new classroom, and I'll put an assignment in there, and I'll show you how that works. Okay, so let's move on. I'm going to go in now and create a new classroom just for this webinar. I'm going back to my classes. I'm going to hit the plus sign. Oh, did I already do this? It's been a long day. Okay, here's the class that I've already created. So I have not put anything in here yet. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my stream, and I'll do this again because I don't know if I let you see that. It just says share something with your class. So I'm going to click in here and just say, hello, class. Welcome. Okay, so when you are ready to send a message, you have an option. So if you go into this first drop down here, you have an option to send this very same message to multiple classes. So if you're one of those specials teachers and you've got 20 different classes you need to send to, you can just click, 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 and send this message to all of them. On the other hand, if you only want to send this message to 1 or 2 students in that classroom, you can hit this drop down, and all of the students would be showing here. You would just click the students that you would want to see that. I don't have any students in here quite yet, but I will in a minute, and I'll show you the difference. When you share something with your class, you are able to attach things to this message. You can attach something from your Google Drive. You can attach a link from someplace on your computer that a website that you found or something. You can attach a file, or you can attach a YouTube video. And so I will show you that on an assignment in just a little bit. And then when you're ready to post, you have some options here. You can schedule it for later. Like I could schedule this to post at 8 a.m. on Monday morning, or I could just save it as a draft so that I can still see it, but my kids can't yet see it. The same goes with assignments. So if you want to get ahead and make some assignments, you can save all of these as drafts. And then when you're ready to send them, then you just do it. If you notice too, I haven't posted this quite yet for my students, but I will be showing you this. Anytime you make new posts, they are going to, the new things will pile on top of the old things. So old things will just go farther and farther and farther down. I don't think I ever posted that one message. So I'm just going to say hi class real quick. And then I will go ahead and post it. So it's been posted. I don't have any students yet, but I'm going to fix that. Now I'm going to go to another browser. This is a personal account that I have. And so I'm going to join this classroom as a student. So I'm going to classroom.google.com. Now I'm going to join this one way, but since we're in this remote situation, this is probably not the way your students are going to join. I'm going to show you a different way for that. I'm going to go ahead and hit this plus sign and join class. I need to go back and grab that class code because I didn't get that before. Here's the class code. I'm just going to copy it and then type that in. Okay, so when a student first gets into a class, it's going to look just like this. It looks just like the teacher one did. The only difference is the grading tab is not here. But you can see that the message is showing. I've just sent it from the teacher. The student already has it. Now let's go back to the teacher site and let's show you how to get students into this classroom the way that we need to do it since we're in this remote situation. We want to go to the People tab. And you can see that I'm the student, I'm already in here. But to invite new students, you're going to go up to this Invite Students button here. And you're going to type in their email address, which for DPS is their student number at dpsk12.net. If you're not sure what their student number is, it will be in IC. I had somebody ask me about that earlier. So student number at dpsk12.net. Once they get that invite, they'll open their email and click something and they'll be in your class. Okay, any questions yet? Before I move on?
There's so many, I'm having trouble keeping up. So if somebody has a burning question that I haven't been able to answer in chat, please chime in.
Yes, please. That's just fine. I don't mind waiting and getting some verbal questions in here.
How can you add large numbers at a time without putting their individual email?
We haven't found a great way to do that at this point. I mean, if you had a way to, you know, get a hold, if you're going to be emailing families, you know, for example, you could just give this class code. Let me go back to that real quick. And you could just put in that, you know, parent guardian email, please have your student join my class. They can go to classroom.google.com, click the join button and enter this code. So you might get a few students that way. And then if you don't, you could go in and invite the rest of them. If you were actually in a, you know, a school setting where kids were all sitting in the same class, this would definitely be a better way. But unfortunately, the invite or sending that parent guardian letter home or email home would be the only other way that I've thought about. Yes.
So I'm, and there's a team of ECE teachers here, and we have the question, is this doable for ECE?
ECE will be better off with Seesaw.
Okay.
Have you been to one of those webinars yet?
Mm-mm.
I would definitely check out Seesaw. Seesaw is wonderful for grades 3 and under. I mean, it's a really neat thing. Even older kids love Seesaw, but the younger kids, it's definitely geared to them more so than this.
Okay. But if our administration insists to do Google Classroom, do we send the invite to the student using the ID number of the student or the parent's email?
Are you talking about for Google Classroom?
Yes.
If you are inviting the students directly with this method here, this needs to go directly to the student's email address. And
Okay.
then, yeah, little kids don't always know how to get into their email.
Yeah,
So you'll
they
probably, yeah, you'll want to coach the parents on helping them to get in there.
But it has to be the student that gets in, not the
Yes,
parent.
absolutely it does. It has to be the dpsk12.net email.
But even though they're in ECE, if they have a student number, then they automatically have that email, right?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
that's my understanding. Hmm.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. Anybody else before we move on?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Does it matter if we join them through their ID number or through that link, or it doesn't matter?
So the ID number is if you aren't going to be able to get the code to them. So you'll need to send its ID number at dpsk12.net. So you'll email the invite with this method. And if you're going to be able to get a hold of families and say, you know, instruct your student to join my class, here's the code, then you would give them this code and you would explain to them, and I'll show you this again. I'm just going to copy this. I would explain to them that they need to go to classroom.google.com and they would need to hit the plus sign and join class.
I guess my question was geared towards IC. If they are, if I add them as using their ID, will that be connected to their IC, or it doesn't really matter?
No, Google Classroom will not be connected to IC in any way. So when you have these grades here, you know, if you start to use the grades tab and you're grading from here, you will still need to go in and take the grades and transfer them into IC. So this is really just communication between you and your students. Your parents can be in on things if you invite them as guardians. But otherwise, I mean, it's completely separate from IC and the grades have to be transferred over
Okay.
manually. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. The rest of what I'm doing hopefully will answer a few questions. All right, so I'm still in the teacher account, and now I'm going to create an assignment. So I'm going to go here to classwork. And the first thing I want to do before I create any assignments is create topics. This makes such a huge difference. So I'm going to hit create, and I'm going to go to topic. And I think just today I'm going to go to Monday assignments. And again, you can organize your class however you want. This is just one way that might make sense. So I've got my first topic created. Now I'm going to go back to create and choose assignment. I'll call this sample assignment 1. I can put some instructions in here, whatever that needs to be. And I can attach things just like I could on the stream. I can attach things. I will choose something from my Google Drive. Now, when you click here, this is going to come up with a bunch of tabs across the top. The things that will show here are things that you've recently been in, and that might not necessarily be the assignment that you want to attach. So I go over here usually to my drive, and I keep a really nice organized drive. We do have a few webinars on how to do this, but I'm going to go to a folder where I've put my assignments. And here is the first assignment. I'm going to click that and then click add. Okay, so once I have the assignment in here, I have some choices. Here's the drop down. So I can make it so that students can just view this file. They can't do anything to it. It is just a reference for them that they can look at and not do anything with. The next one, if I hit students can edit file, that means that all the students in the class can edit that very same document. So there may be some assignments where this is useful and helpful and great, but please don't select that unless you intend for all students to work on the very same document. This time I'm going to do make copy for each student. So I've got my sample assignment 1. I'm making a copy for each student. Over here, I can choose if I want to send the same assignment to multiple classes, I can do that. I would just click the classes that need to get this assignment. Or if I want to differentiate and send it to just 1 or 2 students or however it needs to be, then you would just choose the students that get this. And so that would answer the question of the intervention teacher. If you're a co-teacher and you just want to send something to 1 or 2 students, you could do it right here. And nobody else will be able to see who gets what assignment. Okay, I will designate some points for this. I'll just say it's 20. You could make it ungraded as well if you wanted to. I'll put a due date in here. And this is where you want to remember to assign a topic or put this assignment in a topic. I'll put it under the one I just created, Monday assignments. Now, if you want to do the intermediate class tomorrow, we'll be talking more about rubrics and things like that. So I'm going to skip this for now. All right, one other thing I want to show you up here where it says assign, there's a drop down. So you have an option, again, to schedule this to happen at a later date. Or you could just save this as a draft. So if you're just preparing everything and getting everything in here, you'd save it as a draft and students would not be able to see it yet. All right, but I'm going to go ahead and assign it. And hopefully this will happen a little faster. My webinar this morning was tech challenged. Okay, I'm going to move back over to my student account now. So I'm going to hit classwork and see what assignments are there. I might need to refresh this page to be able to see it there. Okay, good. So now I can see I have a topic. Monday assignments is there. I have my sample assignment in here ready to go. So I'll click it. I can see that there were some instructions in here. There's a document, but if I want to see the whole assignment just to see if I'm missing anything, I like to click view assignment. All right, from here, I will click on the document that was created for me. So if you'll recall, I made it so that every student gets their own copy, and here is their assignment. When I go into the document, it will name it. It'll give it my name and the sample assignment 1. So that's nice. It keeps it really straight on your end too as the teacher. So I could read the passage. I could click on this link and read it, and I could complete the assignment. And then I can turn it in. This is the nice thing here. It has this built-in turn in button up here at the top. So if I just click turn in, And then Google Classroom will say, you sure you want to do this? And I'll say, yes, turn in. Now my teacher has the work. So when the student hits that turn in button, it shows turned in, and they no longer have control over this document. They can't make any edits to it. It is now in the teacher's hands, and the teacher can grade it. If the student decides, oh my gosh, I forgot to do something, they can click unsubmit, and it'll ask them if they're sure, and then that will give the editing rights back. So the student can then make whatever edits they want and then resubmit it if they want to. Okay, let's go back to teacher side and see what this looks like. All right, I clicked on grades, and you can see here that it's created a column for me. And if I had more students, you'd see more students and more things down here. And to grade this, I'm just going to click on the assignment up here. Sample assignment. This shows me who's turned it in. It would show me if there was any missing. Not a lot of knowledge to come from this. There's only one student, but let's just click on this document that my student did. Okay, so I could read this. You can see this is the student's work. There's a lot you could do with this as far as making comments and having a comment bank, a canned comment. And I will talk about this more tomorrow. This is really pretty handy, but I won't go into this today. All I'm going to do today is give a grade to my student. I'll give it a 15 out of 20. I could add a private comment if I wanted to. And then something to note is this return button. You definitely want to make sure you return it back to the student, because that is the way they will get their grade and get the feedback that you give them. So I'm going to hit return. Then I will go back to the student side and show you what it looks like to them. Might need to refresh. Okay, so you can see here I have a 15 out of 20. And if the teacher had left me any other comments, they would show up here as well. Sometimes students can get confused when the teacher returns things to them. They're not real sure why the teacher returned something. So you might need to educate them and just let them know that returning a document is like handing your paper back. So they don't need to resubmit it at all. This resubmit button, I think, is kind of misleading. So students do not need to resubmit unless you've told them to. Okay, I just covered a lot. Are there any questions I need to stop and answer?
I was wondering about the invitation. When we invite students, who receives the email? Mom, dad?
The student themselves will receive the email. So do you have younger kids that don't normally use the email?
That's my worry. I'm worried about it because they're first graders. They're not going to do it.
Right. So for first graders who don't normally use email, I can tell you that their email password is their birth date. So their parents can help them get in, to their email. It's their student number at dpsk12.net, and the password is their birth date. But for first graders, again, I think that Seesaw is going to be a better option if you can possibly convince your admin to let you do that.
Okay. So when I send the invitation, the parents won't see the invitation.
No. They'll have to help their student get into their email address with the email address and their password, the birth date.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else? All right. Oh, was there somebody coming on?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I got a quick one. Are the comments that you leave private to the student?
Well, yes, if it says private comment, then yes, they are. So that's a good question because I want to go in and show you something. So the settings here, I'm back on the stream on the main page. There's some settings here that the teacher has. And this stuff we'll just ignore up top. What I want to show you here is the permissions that you can give to your students. So you can make it so that students can post and comment. That means they can post an announcement for the whole class, or they can comment to something that you've posted and the whole class will see it. Or you can make it so that students can only comment to something that you've posted. Or you can make it so that only teachers can post and comment. So students don't really have any rights to post anything. But even if you select this, then students can still leave you private messages. So only you will see them, and you can leave them private message so that only they see it. But just know that those are there. And I'm going to go over this more tomorrow, the difference when you have like a discussion question that you've asked, what this is going to look like. But let me just show you one other thing here. In the classwork on this assignment, I'll go in here. All right, so here's where it says private comments. So I could add a private comment to student and they would see it, and they have the same thing on their end right here. Now the class comments here, you can see, so this is the student. I'm in the student assignment. You'll remember I have my document that's been generated for me. So I'm the student here, and I do have class comments enabled. So I would be able to put something here and the whole class will see it. That goes away if you turn off that setting for students so that nobody can comment. Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna do one more assignment just to go through that one more time. And you can see what it looks like. Again, we're gonna hit create and I'm gonna click assignment. This time I'll do sample assignment 2. My instructions, please do this. Okay, once again, I'll go to add. This time, excuse me, I think I'll put in a YouTube video. I've got one saved right here. I'm just gonna copy this URL and I'll click YouTube. Now, when you're in here, you can search up some YouTube video that you know about, or you can just hit URL. I'll put that in there, and then this is the one I wanted. I'm going to hit add. I can also attach something again from Google Drive. You can attach as many things as you want to here. I'll go back into my drive, into that same folder. And here's my second one. All right. So that's all for now. I think I will make it so that I'll make a copy for each student again. This time I'll make this worth 50 points. Give it a due date. And definitely put it in a topic, Monday assignments. And then I'll assign it. And again, tomorrow we will go into much more detail the different types of assignments that you can do. Okay, so back to sample classwork. This is my student account. So student or sample assignment 1's on the bottom. Newer things are going to fall up top. If it makes more sense, you can rearrange these once they've been posted. Not on the student side, but on the teacher side, you can rearrange things. So I'm going to click on student assignment 2. You can see I have the attachment to this YouTube video, so I could watch that. And then I can complete my assignment if I just want to see it all here at once. The video is here. My document's over here. And when I'm ready to work on it, I'll just click on it. So I'll just pretend like I watched the video. This is my answer. And then this lovely turn in button. Okay, so done. Go back to teacher side, look at my grades. There's the second column that's been formed here. This is the first one, so everything's going to populate over to the left side, and I apologize for my cat who's going crazy behind me. Okay, so once again, I can look at the document. I could make comments and things, but I'll hold that for tomorrow. Give it a 50, and I'll put a comment here so you can see what it looks like. And then I will return it. All right, let's see what this looks like on the student side. So I got a 50 out of 50, and it says great job. So that happened really fast this time. Okay, so that was all I was going to cover as far as making and grading assignments. Does anybody have questions? Erin, you doing okay?
I have a quick question again, sorry.
That's okay.
So we've been playing around with Google Classroom, and we already made, a colleague and I already made a classroom, and we have some assignments on there. But if you already made some assignments, we missed the part where you said make a copy for each student. Can you go back and edit that? Is there a way to edit?
I do believe you're going to need to go back and just redo that whole assignment. Just delete that one and redo it. Once it's been assigned, it's just going to be the way that it is.
Okay, because if we leave it like that, because like I said, we're in ECE, so we're just posting activities that they're not sitting at the computer and doing, but they're rather reading what we want them to do and then doing them with manipulatives or things they have at home, like counting and stuff. So they're not going to be turning in anything except if they want to post a picture or a little video of them counting. If they do that, would just be that the whole class could see them doing it, or?
No, the way you did it is actually fine. I mean, if it's just like reference material, they don't need to do anything to the document. They just need to read the instructions. Then you did it just right. They don't need their own copy of that document. The only time you give them their own copy is if they need to type on it and turn it in.
Okay, but if they do want to like send back a video of them counting or doing their letters, doing their name, the whole class will be able to see it?
No, not necessarily. So when let's go back to student here. Let's just see. Let me go in here to classwork. So let's just say that my teacher asked me to turn in a video of myself. So I don't know if you've been to the Screencastify webinar, but that would be one way that you could make a video of yourself. And that video gets stored to your Google Drive.
Okay.
So if they wanted to attach that video, they could go in here and hit add, go to Google Drive and find that video and add it here and turn it into you. So only you're going to see it. It's not going to be for the whole class to see. It's just like an assignment that gets turned in.
Oh, okay. All right. Because I actually had one of my daughters sign in as my student and do it that way to see what the students will have access to. And then there's an option to actually record from there directly.
On Google Classroom?
Yes, from their phones.
Oh, on the phones. Okay. Yeah, well, that's neat.
But
Now,
then, as long as I don't get in trouble if other people can see what they're turning in or like uploading a video.
You probably do want to avoid that.
Okay.
Yeah. But
at some point, can you show how to push an assignment out, a differentiated assignment out, or to assign to multiple classes?
yeah, for sure. I'll do that. One other thing I wanted to tell you, as far as that type of video goes, Seesaw has some really great built-in tools with video. So just so you know, if you do check that out, I think
we're definitely doing that training tomorrow.
Perfect. I think you'll love it. And then another thing, another thing where if you want video of kids that are responding, Flipgrid is another one to check out. Flipgrid is amazing.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure.
May I ask you a question? I'm a school psychologist and I have like a caseload. And I would like to be able to have those students like fill out a survey every day to just say how they're doing and how it went with their classes and things like that. Would I be better to give each of those students their own classroom and so that I can post my own stuff to them, or would it be better to like create the classroom and then kind of work with them independently within it? They wouldn't be able to see each other or each other's things, correct?
No. In fact, that's great because that's going to answer the question that Erin asked me about. So I'm going to go in here and just do a sample like that. So I'm going to hit assignment, and I'm going to go into this a lot more later, but let's just say we want to give them a survey. We can go in here and click, I'm sorry, I didn't want to do that. I hit the wrong thing. Let me X out. I wanted to hit create and go to forms. And so with a form, you can create a survey for your students. And again, I'm going to go more into this later, but you create the survey. And then when you go back and you have the survey done, you're going to go in here and just select the students that need that form. So if not all students need it, you're just going to choose the ones that do.
Okay.
Let me go back to my other classroom that actually has more in it. This will be clearer to see. I'm going to go back to my gray class. Okay, so here in classwork, I'm going to make an assignment. Survey. I'll pretend like I'm creating this form. I won't go through all the motions, but let's just say I have, and it's a survey. So I could just choose I'm going to deselect all the students. So only Peter and Laura and Erin get this, and then I would assign it. So that would be really a really good way to send it out just to a few kids in the classroom. If you're a co-teacher or an interventionist or whatever, and you're sharing a classroom.
Okay.
Yeah, and Erin asked me too. So that's how you can send things to just certain students. She also wanted me to put in here how to send to multiple classes, and that is this left drop down here. These are all the classes that I'm involved with. So if I want to send this out to my second and third period as well, I could just choose these two. So it'll go to all of these classes. And that is very, very helpful if you're a teacher that teaches the same thing all day.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Are you going to potentially run into issues with like sharing documents? So like if I shared a document, like a Google Doc, you know how sometimes you have to ask for permission to see Google Docs?
Yeah, I mean, when you put something on Google Classroom, it's generally something that you've created and you just want your students to have. So, I mean, is there something specific you're thinking about, or are you talking about like?
Do I need to mess with my settings to make sure that everything is always like public, so that?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, when you assign something to students from Google Classroom, all of that stuff happens on the back end so that the people who need to get the document get it. So if there's ever a case where it does mess up and say, you need permission or whatever, you can always go back into your Google Classroom, into your Google Drive and change the settings there. But generally it works really seamlessly, and it puts the permissions where they need to be.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Yes, it's Stefani Patisse from NEC.
Hi.
How do you delete previous assignments?
Good question. So let's go in here to my classwork. I'll find an old one here. I'm going to delete this one here. So I just click these three dots right here and I can delete. I can also edit it, just so you know. You can edit things from here. You can delete it. You can move it up to the top if you want to. But these three dots are just a nice little tool to remember. If you aren't sure where to find something, check the three dots. Anyone else?
Hi, Carmen.
Hi.
How about if you have a kid that has moved from your school, how do you delete them?
Let me show you that. Good question.
Thank you.
You go into the People tab, and you can click on that student and go to Actions, and then Remove.
Beautiful. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Other questions?
Yes. Is there any way to do, like if you want to read a story, like if you wanted to have the students read a story, but you're like going to read it out loud, is there any way to do anything like that?
So you mean like kind of like we're doing now, reading together online?
Correct.
You mean?
Yeah.
I would say that Google Meet would be the best app for that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to take one of those classes. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Or Seesaw. Well, I don't know if Seesaw would do that actually. I think Google Meet.
For high school. It's for high school students.
Oh yeah, Google Meet for sure.
Yeah, I'm going to take one of those classes. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
And Nikki, can you just show comments and the difference between the private and the public comments again, please?
Yeah. So going back here, this particular class here, I believe is set so everybody can comment all the time. Let's see. Nope, only teachers can post or comment. So I don't have a lot of options here. Let me show you what it looks like. So I'm going to go to the stream. Actually, I'm going to go to the student version of this so you can see what it looks like on their end. Let's get into that class. All right, so in the stream, I don't have any way to post anything to the class. All I can do is read what my teacher said. Let me set that differently. I'm gonna open it up all the way so students can post, they can comment, they can do whatever. They have a lot of rights here in this class. Okay, go back and refresh. Oh, it already did it for me. I didn't have to refresh. But now I have this tool here that says share something with your class. So if they wanted to type something here, the whole class is gonna see it. Unfortunately, you can't monitor this before it goes out. You can delete it once it's done, but you don't have any way to see it before it happens. So be really careful if you allow them to do this. The other thing that this allows them to do is to respond to something that I've put. So this is an announcement that I made, and they have this class comment that they have available. If I had it set the other way, this would not be available to them at all. Does that help?
Carmen,
Mm-hmm.
how did you show us the student view?
Oh, well, this is a whole different personal account. This is just a Gmail account that I have, and I have it opened in another window, and I'm just like toggling back and forth. This is my work Gmail, my dpsk12.net, and this is a personal one that I use. It's kind of a little trick. I can send you a link on how to do it if you want to email me.
Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Carmen, is there a way, I thought I saw the Google Calendar on one of your homepage. Is there a way to, so this, it could be at the top so students can kind of see maybe what their schedule might be or when things are due, things like that?
Yeah, so I'm on the classwork tab now, and you can see that the Google Calendar is here. I'll click on it. I don't put a lot of effort into talking about this so much because we're so heavily into our DPS calendars, but this is definitely nice for students. I mean, I should talk more about it for sure. This will put whatever assignments I have due on that. So yes, they have that available to them as well. And it's just at the top of the classwork tab. This too, just so you know, the class drive folder, Google Classroom will create its own folder in your drive. Let me show you. And if it will ever load. Sorry, this is getting to be like it was this morning. I'm sorry about the wait. Okay, so this is kind of the breadcrumbs of my Google Drive. This is my drive. Google Classroom created a folder, and within that folder, this is the class. So I'm in this particular class, and every assignment that I do has its own folder, and student work will go in here. So let's see, I don't know if I have any student work in any of these, but I can see. Yeah, nobody's turned anything in on these particular ones, but it's really nice. Once you have student work in there, you can find it really easily in your drive. Anyone else?
So just for clarification for SSP providers, if we make a Google Classroom and put all of our students in one classroom, they are able to see each other. So technically we would have to make one classroom per student.
No, I don't think you'd have to do that. They can't really see each other, especially if you go in here and make it so that no students are able to post or comment. You just make it so that only the teacher can post and comment. You could have the one, I mean, they can't see each other in there.
They can see names though. Under names, you can deactivate the comments, but they'd still be able to see each other's name.
Yes, you were correct about that. So I didn't even think about that, but yes, you can see the people that are in there.
Okay.
Thank you.
So with that said, is it better to be a co-teacher at grade level for, say, speech kids and then just make assignments to specific children?
I think that works out really well for many teachers. I mean, the only reason that wouldn't be ideal is, like Era was saying, you end up with assignments coming into your drive from every student in the class in addition, so that's the ones that you work with in addition to all the others. But that would be the only downside that I can think of.
Is there a limit to how many co-teachers can be in one class?
I don't think so. Erin, do you know the answer to that?
I was actually just looking it up. It's something like 10 or 25 or something more than I think most people would ever get to.
That's nice.
And also, Nikki, do you know if you delete an assignment, does that delete everything from the gradebook as well?
Well, let's test it and see. That's a great question. Let's find something here that has some grades in it. How about this one? This one is called a.google. I'm going to go delete it and we'll see what happens to the class or to the column. I'm pretty sure it's going to go away. Here's a.google doc. Okay, I'm going to delete it. and go back to grades. Yep, that's gone. So it gets rid of everything.
Excuse me, am I to understand right though then? So then if I was to put my whole caseload in as one classroom, all those kids could see who else was in that class, although they could not see each other's stuff. Is that correct?
That's right. That's right. So I'm a student in this classroom. This is the one that has a few people in it. If I click over here on people, I can see who's in there.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's good to know.
Good. There was one more thing I wanted to mention before we wrap it up, and I want to be sure I get it in before people start to leave, and that is how to delete your classes, or archive them and delete them if you want to. So when you're in any class that you're in, if you click on this 3-line menu, or called a hamburger menu sometimes, I'll click that, and just so you know, I can see all the other classes that I'm involved with. But if I want to go back to all of those, I just hit this classes button, and that takes me back to this page. And then there's a little 3-dot tool, or a 3-dot menu up here in all these. From here, you can archive classes. So if you're done for the year and you don't need to see this anymore, you can archive that class, and it just kind of gets it out of your way. And if you ever want to see that class again, you can go down to the bottom in archived classes. If you really want to get rid of the class forevermore, you never want to see it again, you can delete from here. It has to be archived first, but then you can delete it after that.
Can you show me how to invite another teacher, like we would have to invite our psychologist and SPED teacher as well?
Sure. So when you're in your classroom, you go over to people. And at the top, teachers are listed. You just hit this button here, invite teachers. And then you'll type in their dpsk12.net email address. They'll be able to join it right away.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Sure.
I'm trying to invite parents, email parents, but for some reason it doesn't let me do it. Can you do it in your screen?
Are you here under people where it says invite guardians?
Yes.
And it's not letting you do it?
It just, it's not even, it's just like very light. It's not even dark, like you can see there. So I'm wondering, it's just email all guardians. Is that, can you just show me in yours and then I'll see what I can do?
Sure, yeah. So if I hit email all guardians, I actually haven't done this before. I'm curious to see what happens. It's gonna bring up Gmail. Okay, so this is where I could go in if I had all of the guardians' email addresses, like from IC, I could just type them in here separated by a comma and send the one message. So I could do that. That's pretty handy. Otherwise, it just looks like it's individual. So if I wanted to invite this guardian, I would type in their email address and hit invite. But yeah, I'm not sure why it would be grayed out for you. Do you have students already in there and it's just grayed out?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So they, if they accepted the invitation, then I will be able to invite parents, right? Oh yeah,
yes,
that's fine.
yes.
The kids haven't accepted the invitation.
Right, yeah. So the students actually need to be in there first, and then you can do that, yes.
Oh, okay.
All right, we have just a couple minutes left. Do we have any burning questions we need to take care of before we sign off?
I'm going to say, please complete the evaluation for Nikki before you go. It's in the chat.
Oh, thank you, Erin. I have forgotten that every time. So this is confusing, I know. So all of this presentation and chat and everything says Carmen Tygeson, and that might be what it says on the form as well. I go by Nikki, so I'm actually the same person.
Nikki, it is fixed. It has both of them in there now.
Oh,
it just says Carmen Nikki or Nikki Carmen.
Yay, thank you so much. I had some
No
emails
problem.
this morning wondering who I was.
Nikki, I have a question, and I know that I need to go to CISO training tomorrow because I'm in kindergarten. And so, but anyways, I need to arrange with parents after I set up the email of the kids and the password. And then I sent an email to parents, right, to give all the codes and everything that we can be in the same line at home and with me, right?
Yes, so I think I got that. Somebody's microphone seems to be on, so it's kind of hard to hear you, but let me just make sure I understood. So you were clarifying that you need to email your parents and instruct them on how to get their students into their email address? Yes. Okay. So yes, you'll do that. You'll tell them it's their student number at dpsk12.net. The password to get in is their birthday. I think you're muted too now. I'm sorry. You can repeat that. Just turn your microphone back on.
Okay.
There you go.
And then I connect with parents, giving the information about the password and the email of their child, right?
Yes. So if you send the invite the way I showed you earlier, let me go back to that. Yeah, where you invite from here. Yes. Once they get into that email account, they will see the email from you that says, please join my classroom or whatever.
Okay.
So they should be able to get in just fine.
I give those instructions. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
First is setting every single kid with their own personal information. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Nikki.
Sure. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? I just saw a question about ECE. I would still encourage you to please go to a Seesaw webinar. I think it's going to just be wonderful for you.
I had just a quick question. I'm an interventionist, and I was wondering what would be a way that you would recommend rather than just adding myself to another teacher's account. It sounds like there's a privacy issue for individual students.
Well, if you add yourself to a teacher's account, let me go in and show you. We'll just go back to this one. I'm a student again. I can see all the people in my class, but I won't be able to tell who is working with the interventionist. When I go to my classwork, all I see are the assignments that were given to me. And I don't know who else got that assignment. It's just my assignment. And just, you know, as a teacher, you would just make sure that when you go into an assignment, let's go in here and find one that I can edit. You just need to make sure when you create the assignment that you're only going to be sending it to the students that need it. So I don't really see a privacy issue in co-teaching at all. If it's just a few kids in one classroom that you're working with, because nobody's going to know, you know, what's going on between you and that student within Google Classroom.
Okay, thank you so much.
Sure. Okay, it's 2 o'clock. If you have another session to get to, I will go ahead and end this one, but we will take care of the question and answer sheet if we didn't get to your questions, and we really appreciate you joining us today. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. What time is your class tomorrow?
My class tomorrow is at 2 o'clock, and that's intermediate. I'm hoping we'll hold some more intermediates when we come back from break on the 6th.
Okay,
I'll
thank you.
try to get those on the calendar. Yep.
How do I leave? I guess I'll just.